with all the pickup in activity, it's been a little bit harder on the workforce side. Brent, we were talking about resource availability just being really challenging for most people in the land industry now. How are you seeing things going to be play out in the next several months with this? What's going to be changing on the workforce side?
Competition. It's going to be very competitive for good
Yeah,
landmen. I mean, we have weekly meetings and our staff meetings about don't you dare let anybody go without a day of work. There's plenty of opportunity. You can't afford to have someone, be in between jobs because they're going to
right.
get sniped. They're going to get picked up by someone. I mean, it's all you need is a phone call. One phone call or two phone calls if you're a good landman will get you working, and we can't afford to lose anybody. As a matter of fact, I'm trying to hire some people, so don't let your landmen slip. We'll be going after them, and that's the name of the game, right? It's a bit more of a challenge now than maybe what we've all experienced in kind of some of the previous upticks in activity where you had big projects, big crews. You could keep those people working. Well, we've got a little bit of a mix where we've got established oil projects, all over the Gulf Coast, Texas, Oklahoma, where those crews are going, but they're much smaller, right? You've got a handful of people working for every client. And then at the same time, we've got some of the natural gas plays that are requiring larger crews. You're acquiring acreage, you're doing all those things. So you're like balancing, trying to fill big crews, but also trying to keep up with the existing work and everything that's going on there. So it's a lot of coordination, a lot of collaboration amongst the managers and amongst even the offices, within the company to keep our core people working. And then identifying talent. There's a lot of people coming back into the business that we're seeing. Folks that got out in 2020 because they had to feed their family. And who can you blame for that? But there's some good folks coming back. There's some other people, that are just good role players. They've got a very good skill set. Maybe they're good at certain things. They're starting to come back, getting out of the insurance and title industry business side of things. So we're looking to get those folks, and we're being very aggressive in our staffing, and I'm sure everybody else is. Our competition is as well. We're starting to see it on that front.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to Brent's point, we lost people in 15 that we're still trying to get back. I mean, I have a couple good friends who, unfortunately, with everything that happened back then, wrong time, wrong place, but still see them every once in a while. I'm like, hey, when you come back to Dudley? Like, when can we make this happen? Because good people are really hard to find right now. But really hard to find. They're not really hard to keep, I don't think, but they're very hard to find. Coming off other projects, I mean, it's all timing.
Yeah, and I think it's a process too. I think you get a project. If it's a bigger project, it's okay to staff it with 3 or 4 or 5 people and then work your way into that 10, 15, 20, whatever it is. I think that's reality right now, what you got to do. There were days when we could, and we could still, don't get me wrong, if you needed a staff of 50 in a week or two, we could make that happen. We just don't have that need right now. So point is, you staff it with what you can, and you make sure you find the right people. We're not throwing bodies at anything. That's just not our style. We really try to identify the right people, call references, or work with them before. Our database helps out with that because we've worked with a lot of landmen in the past, and we kind of know how they work and what they do, and we put our research in before we bring somebody on. So I think that's key. And there's more than one way to skin a cat. We can make it happen. It's just it takes a little bit more work these days than it did, 10 years ago.
And then kind of to add to that, we've been very fortunate to keep a good core group of people working for a long time. Many people 10, 12, 15 years, have been contracting with us. And the great kind of cool thing about these cycles is that you get to give people leadership opportunities. Folks that know your culture, know about Dudley, know how you operate, know your systems and your databases and what's acceptable and what's not, and what the standard is. Well, you can put those people in leadership roles, and so that's a big thing we talk about every week. Also, is who's the next person, who's somebody who's got potential that we can give and delegate some responsibility to, and give them an opportunity to shine and replicate the product and the standards that we try to put out. So that's the exciting thing. I mean, all of us here got our opportunities on increases in activity. Industry pickup. We got an opportunity because Dudley recognized what we could do and gave us opportunities. So that's kind of exciting. We're real excited about that. We're really excited about starting to bring some new people into the business. We're talking about training again. We're talking about landman school. These are all things that we're preparing for, because we can go with staffing existing landmen, for a few more months. But if things continue to pick up, we got to start having a real conversation about, okay, how do we feed our business? How do we feed field landmen? How do we bring new people in? And those are all things you better be thinking about if you want to be able to scale and provide service in increased activity times.
Yeah, I think it's important. I mean, then, at least up here in Oklahoma, at TU and OU and all these schools, Texas Tech and Louisiana, Lafayette, you had great, petroleum management uh, students, and there were a lot of them. With the downturn, what you've seen is those departments and the students that are in those departments have drastically decreased. And that hurts, because that new crop of landmen that are coming in, and we did our training class and test, and we field trained them with a seasoned vet, and now there's less of a pool. But I think what you'll see with this increased activity, these universities are going to be able to sell that program to more kids, and you just hope that the industry stays up so that we can now take those PM degree students that are in that program and train them the right way, and get them into the industry, get them into the field, whether they go on and be in-house landmen or not. I think that field training and what we've done in the past and what we talk about a lot now truly puts them on a path to success. And hopefully that the industry can keep up with that. Hopefully the universities are able to keep up with that as well.
Well, the other thing with our clients, we went through a cycle the same way of we need people train, get these people in and figure out a way to train them. Then that went away to all the local. You need to be local. You can't have the ridiculous hotel costs, blah, blah, blah. And now they're coming around and saying, okay, I get it. We need people just as much as you do, and we need good people. So you're seeing the client side come back around onto the same level that we are of how do we get good people in here.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing as a service organization. You have to have client support. If you're gonna invest, it's an investment in someone, and it's investment in training and bringing that person up to speed where they can truly stand alone, as an independent contractor. And if you don't have client support, it's hard, it's difficult. So to Steve's point, we are starting to see that come around, and it's understood. And for those companies who really invest in that on the service side, you reap the benefits. So it's a lot of work. It's a whole bunch of work, but
Yeah.
we're ready to
But
take it on. And
I think a lot of
I
these,
expect to see in the next year, if things continue, we'll be right back in the training lane then again, which is exciting.
and I think a lot of these folks that we're dealing with as clients now, they understand that a good workforce is hard to come by. I mean, the days of infinite number of landmen being available is just not there anymore. So the more that they can feel comfortable and with the work that's going on, I mean, it just makes everyone's life a lot easier.
And Khalil, I gotta correct myself. I showed my age a little bit. I called it petroleum land management class or degree. It's actually called energy management now. So let me correct myself and not tell you how old I am.